So do you have anyone in your life that does that for you, like takes you to the woodshed, tells you no, like that you confide in and say, hey, am I right on this? And they, would have the guts to say, no, Craig, you're full of shit.
Oh yeah.
Who's that person for you?
There's a handful of them. I mean, I stand in front of audiences and Russ Green's 60 feet off the side, rolling his eyes and shaking his head and, making corrections, So, was it 8 states over 9 years or 9 years over 8 states? I don't care, he knows, and so, fine. I called the NSCA and the ACSM soda whores, and so the NSA sued me, and we were rapidly getting to the point where we were going to get to define soda whore. I'll use kind of loose and general language, and when I say the NSCA is a bunch of crooks or the ACSM, I don't literally mean they're breaking into houses and stealing things or holding people at gunpoint, but I do believe they've taken money from soda pop to produce science that was false and deadly, so worse than crooks.
So did they object to the word whore or just the sexualization of their name? Could you call them soda sluts?
Whatever gets the reaction, A bunch of my friends are people that are our allies in our effort. I'll name Goofy Ravenscoff to name one. Has spent most of his life trying to temper his message and then apologizing for being ill-tempered. Only wishes now that he'd let loose more in his 80s and in declining health,
Right.
I don't think we're gonna work our way out of this mess, and it is a mess, and shitty science and corruption and the combination of the two is what's wrong, and we're not gonna get out of it being nice. And in fact, I don't think it's realistic to even expect a solution to the mess.
So, look, I'll speak for all CrossFitters. I said this at breakfast that I want you to tweet more. I want you to get mad more. I was reading through your tweets last week in this research. I think you called some guy a fuckwad like a dozen times. I'm like, this is awesome. I have a chairman of the board that I report to, and he's never called me a fuckwad. I feel disappointed in him for it. I'm going to have to give him that feedback now. I think, but I think the CrossFit community rallies around the support that you and HQ gives us. I mean, I think they really do, and the CrossFit community loves a good fight. I guess it's really kind of a question for you. Do you just love a good fight, or do you just call BS when you see it? Or is it the same?
I'm comfortable fighting. I probably say I don't like it, but someone that knows me better might say that's not true, but I won't go there because I don't. But I'm okay with it. I'm more comfortable fighting than I am being told, thank you, I love you, you changed my life, and getting a hug. I mean, I love that, but I'm not comfortable there. And anyone that wants that is pathological. If you want people to stand in line and love you, you have a mental problem. And it's a hard thing to even respond to. I feel something, I feel it's sincere. It's a wonderful thing to be told thank you and I love you. But decent people struggle processing that, okay? Decent people don't mind have any trouble with, hey, fuck you, that's wrong, let go of them. I mean, when you see something wrong, I'll be that guy. Hold my beer, I'm gonna knock him out, kind of thing. It's not gonna just stand here. There was a great moment in Star Trek years ago. Captain Kirk was advocating for interaction, and Spock was pointing out the rational thing to do was to stay out of it, it's not our fight. And Spock asked, who are we to go down there and right this wrong? And Kirk responds, who do we have to be? And that's how I feel. We've got the resources, the means, we're there, we see the wrong, and so you do something about it. And only a coward fights only those fights you're going to win. And sometimes you don't expect to win and you do. Sometimes you expect it seems likely that you could lose and you don't. And then there are times when you just don't care and you win anyways. We're doing what we do because it's the right thing to do. Look, our business model, staff knows, what we do is we tell the truth about for a living. That's what happens at the L1 seminar. You get to hear the kernel, the L1 kernel is that essential bit of information, essential lifestyle, salient lifestyle decisions can be made on that event that are life-changing. And it's a truth that others either don't know or are fighting, know and can't tell, you know? I imagine there's people working for Coke and Pepsi that are devout CrossFitters and won't touch that shit and are making a killing off of it. I've heard, we've met a distributor that can't wait to quit driving giant truckloads of poison around. It's a complicated world, but the fights we're in are consistent with what happens at the L1 kernel. And you think I'll defend my affiliates? I mean, look what the business we're in. Of course I fight to the death over that.
Oh, we appreciate it.
We're lucky that our opponents are purveyors of poison. It's really comfortable, you know. I'm glad it's not. You know, I imagine that there are rivalries like AMP and Intel or something. That maybe there's even some animosity. I don't know. And it's like, I don't think there's a good player like, you know, Adidas, Nike. That's not a fight of good and evil, right? You know. But we do have something like that. The thing that opposes us is evil. It is. It is. This program was born out of an acute awareness on my part of a gross deficiency in the public offering. And without fanfare, we launched a gym, and it's turned into the fastest growing chain in world history. Now the assholes out of academia that produce the alternative view of the world come around and they want us out of the picture. And instead of responding to constantly varied high-intensity functional movement and work capacity across broad time and mobile domains, instead of picking at the science, what they did was fake to study. First, it was just outright slander, libel, lies. We had a guy, Christensen, I think, from the NSCA, sent a letter out to all majors in the Air Force involved with training, MOS, you know, training responsibilities, saying that CrossFit had seriously injured some SEALs or Navy guys, and we were being sued by the Navy for it. That was all a fabrication. But we had a handful of these onslaughts, and it culminated in the divorce study, which was just an absolute fiction and fabricated and falsified the whole damn study. And they got caught doing so, and it's now a matter of legal record. The judge in the federal case has, in adverse inference sanctions, ruled that when this goes to trial, the jury will be told that they faked a study and got caught. That's good, you know, and knew it. I mean, it was no accident. Correcting that defends the affiliates. It speaks to the public about how bad things are and the direction they need to go and what's wrong. And fundamentally, the NSCA, the ACSM, the CDC, they have abdicated what you would presume their charter to be. It's not, and USDA has nothing to do with you and your health. It really doesn't. They serve another master, and we all know who I think that is. But I'll take the mantle. I'll run an organization where, from me to my 15,000 affiliates, 175,000 trainers, or however many they are, and the 4 million CrossFitters, or whatever that number looks like, we're willing to go there.
I'm glad you're actually talking about that, because a lot of listeners, I don't think, know. They know that there's some lawsuit going on, but they don't know the details that you're speaking of.
We have our affiliate in Ohio, in Columbus, has sued Ohio State University and the NSCA, and that's moving rapidly towards a victorious settlement. We sued the NSCA in federal court in California, and that is going like, you know, I don't have the words. It would be almost impossible to exaggerate how well that's going for us. Our legal team has about 300 years in the federal judiciary, I think we calculated, and they've never seen a case like this before. It's, and you know, I don't want to paraphrase it because it's even more exciting than anything I'm going to say, but it's all a matter of public record right now, except for the emails, except for the stuff in Discovery, and the rulings from the judges, the inference sanctions. If you don't have that, let me know and I'll send it to you. But it can be found on Law 360 and elsewhere. It's stunning to the extent to which they're being, look, the currency of victory, because we're talking about settlement, and Lanny Davis has come around and is trying to work a settlement. And the currency for victory of us isn't cash, it's light, it's truth. And that's really hard for the other side to say there, because that's what they're all about, is deceit. And they won't survive a settlement that gets me what I want, and that's the truth now. And we've got enough of the truth now in emails, in judges' opinions. I mean, state judge said that William Kramer had mounted a decade-long crusade against CrossFit. How's that from the mouth of a judge, you know? And this is an organization that purports to be doing science in the name of the public good, but they're not. There's nothing like that. In the millions of emails that we've gotten our hands on, the closest thing to science that happens at the NSCA was the extraordinarily sophisticated monitoring and the resources they brought together in outside agencies to track the negative impact in social media of their fake study. It really was a world-class analytical effort, which is just a stunning thing, because there's nothing else going on there that looks like science. Not at all.
It's fucking amazing. We haven't said fuck for a while, so I need to
Yeah.
had to throw one in. I mean, you've been talking about this for 5 years. I mean, does it surprise you that, you know, when all the, I hate to keep calling them changes, but when everything changed this year, you know, people seemed shocked and surprised when, if you go back and look at the video record, which I spent a lot of time over the weekend doing, you know, this has been your message. Did it surprise you? People think this was just a pet project for you?
John, my own staff talk about, you know, maintaining the business, and they've done games broadcasting, and, you know, affiliate and all that stuff too, but let me go off and do my, almost like I was, you know, I made Jeff Kane CEO so that I could change the course of the company and someone could still run the part that's the business, you know? And what I mean by change the course of the business, and my staff can tell you this is exactly what I said, that nothing was going to change. The affiliates weren't going to do anything different. But they may see themselves in a new light, and that had to begin with what we were doing here in this building. And we need to come, have that come to Jesus moment of realization of what is it that's happening in the box that really matters. And it's the constances, and it's the senior population, it's our moms, it's our grandparents, it's our children. It's not the games athletes. And so for me, it felt kind of like what I would imagine turning a cargo ship is like. There's probably a lot of efforts to turn before anything really happens, right? And it got to the point where by September of last year, we already had, and in October, we had content queued up along 23 different buckets. The pattern set, we knew what the new world was going to look like as of Jan 1, and then decided to say nothing to anybody. Because I've been talking, you know? And so this was a shock legitimately from the perspective of it looked like I was just talking and nothing was going to ever happen, maybe. Finally, an action. But where does this come from? Only people not paying attention would have not known where it came from at all. Now, there's some people that are like, that's it, I'm out of here. I'm glad to have them gone. You know? Feedback on the site. I've got, you know, the site is geared towards 10-year affiliate, the 20,000 physicians in the box, my level 1 training cadre, and anyone with a brain, those four groups of people. And if you don't have a brain, you don't have an MD, and you're not part of the training cadre, and you don't fit in whatever the hell those four are, then get someone from that group to explain it to you so that you understand it. And that is happening. There are people that can do that. It was paramount to us to bring that message to those people. I don't know where we're going there, why I said that. What'd you say before?
I think just wanting to know, how surprise people were by the changes when you've really been talking about it.
Feedback. So Michael Ray is on the phone with me. We were talking about making CrossFit competitions safer and using the clout and strengths of the CrossFit risk retention group to help in that, to delineate just some of the things you need for crowd safety and for athlete safety. And at the end of the conversation, he says, hey, by the way, I just want to tell you, he says, I got a little confession to make. I hadn't found much use for the site in the past 5-6 years, but I'm on every day now, and the material is so good, and it's so important, and there's been such a gap from science and from medicine and what the public needs to hear and know, that I'm proud to be a part of this, and I'm so inspired that as I finish some projects here, I'm going to circle back around and make some contributions. Well, here's a guy who was on the level 1 training staff, he is an MD, and he is a 10-year affiliate. And so, bingo, that's exactly what I wanted to happen. I lose the Mike Rays, and we'll lose the Constances, And so, there's been some requests from family to dumb it down a little, but that happens a little bit on the at-home day. If you notice the material there, there's a recipe, you just gotta follow it, no words. Simple movement patterns, decontextualized from the gym, they happen at home. And we've got the media, the reading material is from mainstream press, supporting the material that's peer reviewed on the other days, and that's the at-home day, and that's happening. That's happening 1 day in 4, and so that's going to curate into a nice stack of material that you could use, resource to a couple of things. Know exactly what to say to your mom. Hey, mom, read this. Let's do that. Look at the simple things that sit in front of us. How about this? The stand-up desk is supposed to be a health improver, right? I kind of believe it. Do you? Makes sense, yeah. Well, do you think standing up during the television commercials would be an improvement on the safety of watching TV? Hugely so, right? Yeah, stand up during commercials. So we've done actually took a look internationally at how much of airtime is advertising from country to country, place to place, and it's kind of cool. It's that in an hour's worth of TV, there's 15 to 20 minutes you could be standing up. Would that make a difference in the course of 3-4 hours? Well, it needs to be explored, and we are. We're playing with that.
Absolutely.
We're playing with that.
I could make Game of Thrones a lot.
Yeah.
It'd be amazing. It'd be really good.
I lived with some gymnasts, and we used to watch The Young and the Restless Days of Our Lives, and there's a guy named Cole Howard, and I later trained him, J.A. Peck, the actor, but he was the #1 star on the #1 soap, and some of these morons like this soap. But anytime someone said Cole, you had to do 50 pull-ups. And I think there's a drinking element to it too. But
I'd be down for both.
Yeah.
I'm better at the latter than the pull-ups. Is there when it comes to the website and I would assume eventually maybe an app that would go with it, do you ever envision pushing out these CrossFit doctors in a list to your affiliates or?
we are developing a directory that will be able to link CrossFitters to CrossFit physicians. And the call for that is, it's probably the most requested thing ever. I don't know of anything that's gotten more interest than, and it's neat because I think that way. See, I had a physician in town here, Bruce Eisendorf, and I could send people to him, and he wouldn't go, "What? You're doing pull-ups and your hands are bleeding, and you're not eating, you're not having cereal for breakfast. You're gonna die." And that's what my worry, that someone go to the doctor and they put them on the wrong path. But I've really enjoyed and been a little bit taken aback by how much fervor there is for CrossFit physicians.
Oh, we would love it. My doctor, I'll see my primary care physician and he'll go, "You're obese. You're 185 pounds, you're 6 feet tall, you're obese." I'm like, I work out 6 days a week, I have 14% body fat. I'm more muscle than fat. Like
He's not looking at you, he's looking at the chart.
Yeah, I'm not,
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
not treating me, and I would
Yeah.
love to have a CrossFitting doctor that understands what I do day in and day out.
We'll make that available.
So you're making that big push towards the healthcare side. Is there any other direction you're going with just MDs, or are you trying to get other healthcare?
I'm not gonna engineer what happens out of them having some collective realization. But it's not a collective realization currently. It's 20,000 individuals, each feeling that he or she is in a unique spot. At most, they know 1 or 2, 3 other CrossFitting doctors, or in a big hospital, 10 will know each other and wink and nod.
Yeah.
But they have lunch together, and they're,
Yeah,
they know they are outsiders. They know they are not mainstream, and there's a little bit of being besieged. There's the tinfoil hat thing. You're in a cult. They're sensitive to that, I believe, and I understand that. A physician is a very special kind of person. You say what you want about medicine. You have to be sharp, and you have to work hard to get a medical degree in this country and in most countries. And nobody goes through that arduous journey because they wanted to have a wacko view on something. And so there's a little bit of a psychological disconnect between knowing something to be true, that even the physician's father, who's a cop, knows is wrong. It's an odd thing. But we get them in numbers together when they come here for both what we're calling the Derelict Doctors Club, and which is a satellite event, and the MDL1. What you see is they leave connected. What might be a perceptible angst seems to be morphing into a resolve, maybe a little anger. A militancy for sure. This CrossFit health pin is becoming a code amongst the docs, and neurologists that stopped another doctor who saw the pin, and that's cool. So Chad, what that looks like in the end, I don't know, but I know that the disconnected sense that they have, 20,000 physicians that hold a non-mainstream essential view, and I mean essential in the sense of like an essential amino acid or essential fatty acid. They understand something it's a requirement to optimal functioning of the organism that isn't known by the rest of the medical world. They have views on, and this is from my doc's words, one in particular, they have a view of health, a view of disease, a view of nutrition, a view of sport, and a view of healing that is different from the mainstream of medicine.
That's scary.
It's fascinating. They're good people, they're good doctors. And so these are the kind of doctors, I tell you what, too. They're so many of them are outstanding in their clinical practice, or in their research institutions. This is, Russ Green has pointed out that we seem to have a kind of a monopoly on overachievers. His observations in Washington, D.C., and going to, by the way, that's our greatest density of gyms in the world is in Washington, D.C. And in the district, there are 23 gyms. He's visited them all, I believe. And he says that at 5 a.m., the men and women who have the levers of power in this world are in boxes. Both sides of the aisle,
Do you have a...
My point was that in medicine too, we've got some pipe hitters. Axel Pfluger was 16 years the director of diabetes and chronic care at Mayo Clinic, responsible for 30,000 patients. CrossFitter.
Yeah.
So where do we go from here? I mean, is the when Coke was out of business?
No, and you know what? I don't wish them financial harm. That's probably dishonest.
Yeah, I do.
I was gonna say.
I do.
You'll have to be...
No, it misstates what I'm after. If I could reduce sugar consumption and increase their profits, I'd be all about it. If I could decrease sugar consumption and bankrupt them, I'd be okay with that too. I want the warning label on the can. That's what I want, because that's that is the thing, the single thing that wrecks the conspiracy of funded science. You know?
So just like cigarettes. it's
Just
this
like-
this causes
yeah.
cancer, this causes
That's
obesity,
right, and so
heart disease.
as soon as the warning label is on the cigarette pack, Marlboro's Pink Lung Institute becomes a fucking joke, right? And there's not a Seagram's drunk driving school, you know, I mean, those companies shouldn't be in the health space, or nor should they be pretending to be. And I want Coke out of the health sciences, and I don't care about their bottom line. Now, if you ask me, would it be easier to get them out by giving them money or taking money from them? Oh, it's gotta be taken. It's gotta be taken. But I'm not looking for unemployment. I would hope that everyone driving those trucks around could haul something else. I don't know, water. You know, is Diet Coke better than Coke? I'm presuming it is. I'm presuming it
It
is.
doesn't have sugar, but it's quite a few.
There's evidence to believe that there are other problems with it. Yeah.
Who knows if that's accurate, but
I'm not making the claim. I'm just, you know, it's,
It's good for cleaning toilets.
does it really work?
Yeah, absolutely. It's great. I can't remember. Do you have like a lime green toilet around here? We can try it.
Yeah.
I think you guys could probably add that. So, you know, just a couple more things before we wrap up. You know, I've watched a few podcasts you did recently, one with Team Richie. You know, great guys, and Jazz, and you know, they spent a lot of time talking to you about the games. You know, it sounded like from the interview you're still excited about the games, which I think people are excited to hear.
We've significantly improved the games, and what I enjoy about the games now is this unfolds. All the morons that are saying they're fucked up are going to realize that at some point it's gotten better. Some guy says you just take the top 60 in the world and, you know, blah blah blah, and we've ruined it. Look, most countries at the Olympics. But first of all, I think would you agree that one of the things that makes the Olympics great is it the gold medalist, or is it the international participation? And the answer is both. There's nothing about allowing Afghanistan to have an athlete in the pool that takes away from the fact that the American or the Australian is likely to win at all. And so in playing with this format, we look back at the past year's results and ran regressions against the new rules, and it doesn't change the podium at all. That's a mathematical fact. And so we're not changing, and the goal of the games was to find the fittest man and the fittest woman on earth. Not to make sure that we could delineate number 42 from 43 with certainty.
Well, what's really fun about it, like I have an online friend, which I think is now the new pen pal, new generation. I had met this guy online during regionals over a year ago, and he competes out of Europe. And I had snagged a photo of him and photoshopped him into something else, and we just, you know, have kind of connected over the years. Well, he just won the Netherlands, and it, you know, it's just like this random thing of a guy I've been talking to for a year, and he just won his country, and he's, you know, he's crazy excited, and I'm excited to see him go to the games. And truthfully, he probably wouldn't have gone otherwise. But it's gonna be super exciting to get to meet him in Madison, and he gets to represent his country like the Olympics almost. It's exciting stuff.
There's going to be somewhere on the order of 130 countries represented, I believe. And I'm going to tell you that 115 of those wouldn't have been here under the old rules, and yet nothing's going to change in the top 5, top 10.
that's true.
And so why isn't this better?
Absolutely true.
Why isn't it better? And if you don't think it's better, well, how about fuck you?
Yeah, there you
Don't
go.
come.
Let's get in
You
a
know?
few more of those. We don't have a limited time.
Don't come. I have
I like
everything.
that.
All my business interactions, everything we do, it's all voluntary. The employment is the coming to my gym. You know, you vote with your feet. I'm not. I don't.
I think some people did that this year in the Open. I mean, that was some discussion, truthfully, and you know, I signed up for it. I gotta be honest. I thought this was the best Open ever. Like, it reminded me of the first Open I did 8 years ago. You know, I didn't need open announcements to enjoy it. I didn't need an open announcement to connect with my community or to be challenged. in a workout. You know, it still brought the same sense of accomplishment and still learned where my limitations were and where the things I needed to grow. You know, and so I agree with you. I think voting with your feet is fine. If they don't want to do it, get the hell out or get the fuck out. Sorry.
Arm & Hammer, with a turn of phrase, made a big light come on for me. And he talked about this, there was some disparate kind of views of the games, and it was, is it a sport or a game show? And I realized that I hated all of the game show vibe. And so, like, I just look at the grid league or this Titan thing, and look, here's me, that's stupid, I look away. It's not real, I can see in a glance. It looks like a game show. There's nothing real about it. So, but our games are something very, very different. These workouts are right between the fucking eyes real, you know? And it doesn't need I don't need explosions or sparks or music or lights. And so in these open announcements, to have other accents and looks and even the technical glitches, I love, because it speaks to authenticity. And so what you have now is cameras turned on recording a real human drama and not a game show trying to, you know. When we were at Under Armour years ago, one of the things they wanted to do with us was to help us with our authenticity. I'm like, what are you talking about? And they said, well, we've made some really authentic stuff. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, what? You know? And so they showed me a video of a guy. First of all, we got to meet him till he came in the room, and Big E, Easy D, what was his name? But he'd been in the NFL, upwards of 300 pounds, like a big old bodybuilder guy. And so we watched the video of the authenticity. And so we got like this thundering music playing, and then here's this black man, and he's got chains on him. Not chain like a slave chains, but they're not like gold chain, but he's a bunch of chains on it for some reason, and he's working a chain with a fire escape that elevates a fire escape, and he's pretending like there's a lot of load, but there's not. And it's getting slack in the system, and it's shaking him, and this music's playing, and there's explosions going off, and smoke everywhere, and there's music, and
it's not real. And
that's their authentic, and that's what they wanted to bring to the games. And Dave and I are like, okay, you know, this is great. And I couldn't believe it. And boy, that's everything I don't want. It's everything I don't want.
I thought this year was fun. You know, the custom leaderboard was great. I competed against Armin on a custom leaderboard.
Did you beat him?
Well, so I'll explain it. First
you
of all,
scaled, didn't you won?
Yeah. Well,
take
look,
it.
I thought the purpose of a workout was to complete it, and he chose to take the shorter route. That's all it was.
Yeah.
And we named our leaderboard RIP Regionals, for the record. And it was fun. It was me and him and Justin from Winning Chalk Up. He also didn't finish any of the workouts, which was really weird, but it was a fun time. I thought it was a good change this year for sure.
Good.
Now, you had mentioned, I've heard you mention a couple of times, you're going to do a blowhard card. You're still going to do that?
We haven't thought about it. Well, we need to. Do you have candidates?
Yes,
you guys
absolutely have some candidates.
Oh, then push them on. Yes, we're going to do the blowhard card.
All right. So we think.
Thank you. Will you help me be the blowhard card? Help me on the blowhard card committee.
I would love to head the committee.
Okay.
I'm
John,
vice
president. I want the biggest fucking mouth. Then they'll have a seat at the games. You get to distinguish yourself. But listen,
Can I just get
promoted? I don't, John. I want someone who's really delusional, not someone who just wants to be famous.
Oh, I'm going to struggle to think of someone, Jillian Michaels, but I'll think of it in a second.
Yeah.
It'll come to me who should be best.
Maybe she probably has some star athletes she's trained.
Well, first of all, you need to get The Rock. We love The Rock.
You know what? You get guys. He's a good guy. I don't want.
He's a great guy, but he did the Titan Games. He had Jessica Griffith on there, who did great, by the way. She's awesome. But you know, he's portraying it as this is the hardest challenge on earth, and I want to see him go up against some people. I think he'd do
That would be
great.
amazing.
I'd like to see Jillian get out there and first WOD have kettlebell swings to see if she shatters her spine. That would be fun to have. I think we should invite Saxon Panchek since he didn't qualify in the Open. Sorry, Sax.
He's still looking for his route.
He's still looking for, or he's going to Brazil though.
He's got Brazil, him and Spence.
Yeah, well, one of them will get in.
I love that. Now, how many sanctional events are left still? Just hit them all and get in one.
Yeah, you've got Rogue and the Mac. I'm going to both of those to watch. Those are Mac's next in 2 weeks. Rogue is like 4 weeks after that. Maybe Brazil's the exact same weekend as Rogue. Granite Games, sanctional, they're coming up. And you've got the Down Under CrossFit.
So when I talk about
You
the
say
democratization of the games, I mean, look at this, and it's basically the affiliate model again. And I had staff, friends, affiliates, our judging crew, our volunteers doing these CrossFit competitions, and then no one can say the word CrossFit because of my lawyers. And I'm like, that's not even who we are. The whole thing was anathema to all that relationship had to have. I had to give that away. I have to let you do that. You want to have a competition, and you can call it a CrossFit one. There's a safety concern. And so we're going to publish some guidelines. You better have defibrillators, right? And they got to be charged, right? No.
That is a big deal because we were there's a CrossFit event in Cleveland, the Rogue Winter Classic, and that was a huge deal when they were able to use the word CrossFit, and that was pre-sanctional events. And I don't think people realize how big that was, but now that it's available for other sanctionals, it's a lot of stress off of.
I think that's invaluable. Yeah, so the only thing I really want to end with, Greg, is that, we've covered a lot of topics. The only thing I think we didn't cover, we talked about it a little at breakfast, you guys are doing amazing work around some social issues. We talked about, you're really probably the only sport that pays men and women the same. This year you're allowing transgender athletes to compete, which is amazing. You're probably about the only sport that's allowing that as well. And I think probably the most inspirational thing.
We've always allowed them to compete, but now we're saying, hey, you're allowed to compete.
Right.
And there might be some other group of people that we're also going to announce that, redheaded actresses. Well, of course, you're welcome. Redheaded actresses, please.
Pat Bellner's already in,
Yeah.
so he's fine. And the other area, though, I think where you guys are really inspirational is the adaptive athletes. And,
That's huge.
I don't know if this is a suggestion or a question, but I would just love to see you guys go more all in on advertising with the great work you're doing there. I watched at the Arnold a couple weekends ago. I was there, and there's a team called Some Assembly Required working out and competing. And I watched this athlete. God forbid I forget his name, but he was doing butterfly pull-ups with one arm, and I'm sitting there going, I can't do them with two.
Yeah.
Even a little, and he's just crushing it. And just watching these guys, compete and work out and cheer each other on, and they're doing handstand walks, and
It's incredible.
Yeah, I would just love to see you guys spend more energy getting credit for that great work you're doing, because it's I think it really rallies the community together.
Well, thank you, and we will. And the new format of the games is in Madison is gonna allow for more exhibition events between heats and stuff, that kind of thing. So
there's less downtime in the
Right.
Yeah, that's actually.
So like we could have The Rock versus a chick,
That would be.
and we'd give $50,000 to a charity if he could manage to keep up with her.
He'd get destroyed.
He would. He'd be eaten alive. I want to tell you about the best public speaking I've ever heard. And we'd gone to the Intrepid in San Antonio as a hospital and program where they work with our war wounded. And these were grievous wounds. Double, triple, quadruple amputees. Wounds 2 years old, suppurating, they need to have the bandages changed still every few hours. I mean, it was really ate at you. These kids were chewed up, and we went with this CERT team and Kyle Maynard. And I love Kyle. I like traveling with him, And
I wrestled with him in high school.
what a horrible thing to have to do.
I didn't wrestle him.
Yeah,
but
you knew who he was.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's a great guy.
He is. I go out of my way not to help him, and like I'll try and beat him in the restaurant and slam the door on him, you know, because he's just so fucking capable. We did that once. We were at in Kansas, and I beat him in the restaurant and closed the door, and he went and tried to go through the side door, and I shut it, and these people were watching me like, what are you doing? And I'm like, don't help him, make him work for it. But Kyle did his thing, got up on his box, and he looks at these guys, and just this was perfect pregnancy in the pause. He looks at me and goes, I feel so sorry for you guys. And I got to see it. It was like 15 milliseconds of fuck you, and then laughter, like who the fuck are you, right? You know? And he said, no, you've all lost something. I was born this way. I didn't know anything, I haven't lost anything, you know, I never had it. And it was from the heart. And he's the only person that will ever be able to express sorry to those guys and have it received and not seen as pity and fuck you. You know, and it was a moment you'll live your whole life without getting to witness one of those again. But I would have. He said what I was feeling, and he felt what I was feeling, but he knew he could say it, and I knew I couldn't. I had to go up there and act like I didn't notice your arms falling off still. You know, crazy. But check this out. We did wheelchair races, okay, and we had accidents. Guys falling out of wheelchairs, and we had concerned hospital staff. But what we had guys sweating that hadn't sweat other than through pain in several years. And we find out that they're all doing hydrotherapy, but none of them have there's never been a swim race.
Right.
You know, and so you got people in the pool every day, but we're like careful not to let it be exercise.
Yeah, no, that's
the fuck, you know? And so that was a great trip, and talk about a great sense of that was amazing. And Kyle was especially amazing. But I would do all of those he would go with.
Well, really amazing.
Let's talk to him about stepping up that involvement.
Yeah,
And Stephanie
absolutely.
Cooperman and Kevin Ogar. You know,
a huge space you can really evolve.
Well, I think the community rallies around it. I mean, you know, and for those of us that, you know, I'm fully able-bodied, you know, there's no excuse. You have to get off the couch and do it. I mean, these guys are busting their butts day in and day out, you know.
And seeing that more really, I think, helps push that motivation towards the people that are couch-bound.
Yeah.
we watched Kyle fuck up John Gilson. You know John from Again Faster?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He scrambled over to him and got him around the legs, and next thing you know, he's down on the ground, and he got up under him, he put that stump under his throat and pushed hard. And John wasn't talking right for a few weeks.
Tapped out.
He goes, he fucked me up, man. Talking to me.
He's a freak athlete.
Yeah.
Since high school, he beat our one of the 3-pounder. Took it to him, and that was pretty crazy actually.
I don't see him. Does he get podcasted?
Not that I know of.
He's gonna be one of our
Yeah.
next
Yeah,
guests.
grab that kid.
Yeah, we'll get him on. We'll
He's
absolutely get him on.
delightful to talk to.
Well, I think we've learned a ton today, Greg. It's just
Oh,
been so much
thank
fun.
you.
I will tell you, I've learned you do a great William Shatner impression. I don't know if anyone's ever told you that before, but it was spot on.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely spot on. You know, we really appreciate you giving us the time.
Yeah.
You know, for a very first podcast, we'd love to have you on again.
I'm willing, eager even. Listen, guys, come back to the MDL one, and I'll put a doctor in front of you. Someone, I got all kinds of people with great stories. The dates on that, girl?
May 11th, 12th.
May 11. Yeah,
Okay.
we'd love to have you as our guest.
Absolutely, that'd be great.
Good. Bring Saxon too.
Okay. Well, yeah. Maybe he'll qualify by then.
Yeah. He's going to.
Well, I'm going to be vice president of the blowhard thing, so I'm just
Yeah.
going to give him a card. He's in. I'm telling him he just qualified. We'll send him a text later. He'll be so excited.
It's these big mouths that if I competed, I would have won. You know, and there's got to be someone from sport or
Oh, I'll find you some.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what about
a hater.
I hate any of the haters. I don't know any of the big wigs up in.
Is there
up
still an
in
iron
NC.
arm? Is that still, or is it just a test pattern when you go there now? Remember Dragon Door?
No.
Oh, this is great.
We'll find something.
Yeah. All we gotta do is just look through social media.
There used to be dense, as in high traffic, CrossFit hated spots.
Oh, there still is.
Okay.
Yeah, I just don't follow them. I probably should.
Well, I have plenty that
Yeah.
send me hate messages all the time, so I can solicit it. I can solicit hate mail.
Yeah.
That's easy enough. I mean, I don't mean just from my ex-wife. I mean from others. So it should be.
I don't want anyone to start blowing hard so they get to go. I'd really like to find someone that honestly thinks that,
It's not.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah.
that they got this. They might be at T-Nation.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a lot of experts over there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. All
You know, in that on the net, I've had people say, I mean, look, we had a guy who was a prosecutor in Philadelphia say on Iron Garm that he wanted to cave my wife's head in with a kettlebell. I was some kind of Jew.
Wow.
Yeah.
Going in.
Openly, yeah, you know who it is. But I got to come face to face with him, and he's just a nice guy. And all the things that people are gonna say, you thought I was gonna say his name, is that what you looked at? He's coming close, but I didn't. Someone known to the community. He's a prosecutor in Philadelphia, and he wants to crush my wife's skull with a kettlebell and then fuck her, I think it was. And I was
It's a weird order.
I was
for the
some
record. Weird order.
I was some kind of dirty Jew, you know?
Is that? People are really brave online.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, yeah, and here I am week after
It's
week
a
after
person.
week. Hi, everybody, and it's like not one fucking person said, you know?
Well, it's funny. The first time we spoke, you called me, and I think the first words out of my mouth were, "Are you going to have me killed because I make fun of you a lot?" And you told me you had thick skin. So, like, did you develop that, or have you just always had this, easy
Look,
people
this
on
thing
it?
has its origins of me getting in front of a crowd and going, you know, you're not fit, your workouts are stupid, what you're eating is going to kill you. I don't care how many medals you've won. These are facts, you know, and so I'm not uncomfortable saying that that's not an ice cube, that's a turd, you know, if that's what I see in the punch bowl. I don't mind being that guy. So
I think you have to be.
I want you to be that guy.
yeah,
That's
I'm
my
not,
favorite.
I'm proud of my enemies. Somebody would say, fuck, leave that there. That's perfect. Perfect. There were a bunch of responses to, not a bunch, there were responses to the thing I did with Craig that I'm quite proud of. You know? Look, you call me a fucking idiot and spell fucking and idiot wrong, and I think it's great.
That is the best.
Yeah. My sister saw a sign on a telephone pole, and it was for tutoring and a phone number. It was spelled Tudoring.
Yeah, one of the tweets you had out there, you recommended somebody to go to Kumon for their reading and spelling. That was great. My daughter used to teach at Kumon, so it particularly resonated with me. I thought it was hysterical.
So are you bringing the tour back?
Yeah, I will. Thank you for that. There was economy there. We picked up through my Twitter account some remarkable friends. We are suing the CDC because we filed a Freedom of Information Act request asking for their donors at their foundation. They told us to fuck off, basically. And that gave us the right to file a suit. And we are going to get their donor list. They are going to have to give it up because the law says they have to give it up. And they've just chosen to ignore that law. And they sent, in the discovery, we got emails where they admit to basically breaking the law and are wondering how much longer they can get away with it. And then we got an email saying that those emails were sent by mistake. They want them back. Well, I've already given them to the media. But we found, we knew that we were saying, hey, we want to see your donors. And the reason we're asking is because we were told that Coca-Cola gave them a shit ton of money. And we were told that by a medical school. that, in fact, this medical school is both for research and for primary care top 5 in the world, according to U.S. News, top 5 in the United States. And medical school contacted us through direct messaging on the Twitter account, and quite anonymously wanted to get together, wouldn't tell us who or what they were, but wanted to know if we would meet somewhere and have a discussion. And the discussion was, they wanted to reveal that the CDC had taken money from Coca-Cola, and they didn't want to reveal it, and the reason they didn't is they said that there would be repercussions that would look like defunding. They would lose money for revealing it. And so we revealed it, and it didn't get quite the impact we wanted. People don't care enough, so then we went down the litigation route. But that came out of, that's the economy of a couple of dozen tweets that they know, yeah, these are the guys to go to. And so if there's a plain truth that needs to be spoken and everyone seems to be dancing around it, we'll take that short. I see the Twitter account as that, and thank you for that. I actually enjoyed the Twitter.
Well, it's fun. I think it's, it's the
Get your word
fastest way to get information out. I mean, I think, we're seeing that through the president these days, but people like to get it quickly. I mean, we're in a, I've built this from being able to get information out very quickly to people, and I think that.
You have a gift. Your memes are wonderful.
Thanks.
Memes are wonderful. Did I tell you about
You
memes?
obviously haven't seen all the ones I've done on you, but I appreciate the comment.
Nothing bothers.
Okay.
Did I tell you about meeting Jillian Michaels?
Not me personally, but yeah, let me hear it.
Well, I was at Bob's book signing, and she showed up. And
How long ago was this?
5 years-ish,
Yeah.
whenever his book came out. No, not always, maybe have a lot of them. Bob Harper's a good dude. He's a good man. I consider him a friend. That's why I went to his book signing. She was there. She couldn't have been more gracious, kinder, flattering, respectful. If I would have told you this is what's happening now, would have never happened. It's interesting. But she was also riding high and doing well. Things were good for her. And I hope things get good again.
Well, yeah, I haven't really told the story, but I wasn't going to go in on her. So when her thing came out on Shape, I did one meme. One. It wasn't even that funny, for the record. I didn't think it was that funny. But I got a bunch of messages from people, and then Craig, who just interviewed you, messaged me the next day and said, you've got to do more of this that's really funny. And because he's knee-deep in social media, I'm like, okay. So I did 6 or 7. The first one with her swinging the kettlebells, which I think is the one you saw, blew up. I mean, it went to like 100,000 views in 2 hours. And just ton of engagement. And so I'm sitting on the couch.
By the way, again, for the record, the single most dangerous thing I've seen done in the gym that was called an exercise.
Yeah, it was scary. It was
I've
really scary.
I've seen stupider shit, like doing handstands in front of an open window on the 3rd floor of a building kind of thing. But no one called that an exercise. Let's go do handstands in front of the window. That was just a moron. But for a group
Of people.
yeah, I've never seen worse. And what we have is a weighted, high momentum flexion of the lumbar spine. I mean, that's...
Oh, it's scary. And I was sitting on the couch with my daughter, and I'm making memes and doing dumb stuff like I normally do. And I get a DM from CrossFit Health. I see it pop up, and I turn and look at my daughter. I'm like, fuck. And keep in mind, she's 15, so she's heard it before. And she's like, what is it, Daddy? I'm like, I just got a message from CrossFit Health that I think it's real. So they got the blue check, And then within seconds, I got an email. And both messages says, Coach Glassman wants to talk to you. And so I look at her, I'm like, I think I just got cease and desist. What the hell just happened? So I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? Why do I do it? And with the brilliance of a teenager, she's like, what do you mean, what do you do? Go call the number. She said, just go call the number, Dad. I'm like, okay. And then within seconds, you were on the phone. And not gonna lie, I had a fangirl moment. It was, you go from sitting in your couch to all of a sudden you're, talking to the founder.
Did I tell you where we were? You know what I was doing? I was at a laundromat doing laundry in Nashville. and it's sitting on the dryer, you know?
And just saw the meeting?
What?
I said, hey, no, when we actually had
Oh.
the conversation, I called from the laundromat. Carmen was with me, but they're ready, like, let's do this thing. We'd all gone to wash clothes. The hotel in Nashville didn't have laundry.
Yeah, I actually I have a friend who's a doctor that was at that seminar, and I talked to him. I work out with him every Sunday, and I said, "You're not going to talk this weekend." He's like, "Cool." I'm like, "Coach Glassman." He's like, "Me too." It was so
Who
funny.
was it, John?
Jeremy is his name. We just call him Doc J.
Okay.
He's a typical CrossFitting doctor, brilliant doctor, does the dumbest shit you've ever seen in the gym, but brilliant doctor.
Yeah.
You know, but super guy. You know, and he's the one we go to. You know, and that's partially I think why I've been really passionate about this piece, because I've had so many interactions with him and see what he can do with people's health. But then I'm also sitting there sweating with him, and he's kicking my
Lots of
butt.
walk.
Yeah, but he kicks my butt in workouts.
How long are you guys in town?
Just till tomorrow morning. Yeah, it's a quick trip for us.
Got here on Saturday.
Well, thank you for coming out.
No, thank you so much. I mean, we wouldn't be anywhere else.
Thank you.
Excited to come back.
You're coming back in May.
Yeah.
I'd love that.
So as long as it doesn't interfere with the Rogue event. I've already got tickets. I already bought my tickets.
Do you know who our event dates? Well, I don't want you to miss one of our beloved sanctionals, but if you're free, come out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if not that one, the next one.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we have a kind of a private dinner at my house for the speakers on Friday night. I'd love you to come to that too.
That'd be great.
See my home will set afire.
All right. Sounds perfect.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
All right. Thanks so
Chad,
much.
Sean, thank you.
Yes.
You guys, that was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
May 18th and 19th.